Okay, so we have 3 different patient packaging kits. This big orange one here, it's got everything. It's got food, it's got all sorts of things. This is for taking on the ATV. So this is, if you're taking an ATV to a patient, this is the one you'd want to grab. It's got everything you can want. And then we have these 2 kits. They should be identical. They're slightly smaller. And this is geared towards putting it into your pack and taking it with you on a hike. So we're going to pull this apart and we're going to use it for some patient packaging. See, in this patient packaging kit, we have a helmet. Maybe take a look on the inside. There's glasses, so that you have that in case they're on the ATV with you. There's a sleeping bag stuffed in here. A tarp. This is our blow-up pad that we use. And you have a heating pack. This heating pack, worth noting, it doesn't start heating up until you tear it open. So don't tear it open until you're ready to use it. It does get quite hot, and so when you're putting it on the patient, you don't really want it on direct skin. So you want some kind of barrier, small barrier between them and this heating pad. You don't want the sleeping bag between them and it, though. This is going to go in the sleeping bag, and I'll show you kind of how that fits. Okay, so these are the new insulated blow-up ground pads that we have now inside of our patient packaging kit. So you'll find one inside of here and inside the other one. They're really nice. What's nice about them is they're very quick to deploy, and it is insulated. So you are still going to do your regular packaging, but this in itself does provide some insulation. It's going to provide excellent cushion for your patient, which is really important if you're doing a really long carry-out, and extra important if you happen to be using the sked, because the sked itself needs that extra layer of cushion. So if you look on the back, there is a hole. That's the one hole in it. It's really big, and it has a one-way valve. And to blow it up, you just blow into it, and it captures the air automatically. So we'll see how quickly it goes. We'll get like one more in there. Alright, that's as much as I can do. Now I'll seal it. And now we've got an insulated support for our patient. When it comes to undoing it, you pop this valve here. Again, it's got that one-way valve. What I've found works best is you put your finger in there, kind of flip that valve down. And you've got to hold that closed as you're pulling the air out. Or not closed, hold it open, all right? Getting as much air out as possible is going to be important when trying to repackage it. Got that valve flipped back, and that's what's allowing me to just kind of manhandle it as I try and get more air out of this thing. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do a Hypowrap. This is just one technique. There are a lot of different ways that you can do a Hypowrap, but I'm going to show you one that you should become familiar with because we use it often. When you're doing a Hypowrap, it's going to change a little bit depending on the patient and the environment that you're in when you're actually doing the wrap. But this is going to be a basic. Learn how to do this one, and then you can adapt it later. Here's how we're going to set up a Hypowrap. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get the basket ready. We definitely don't want to set up the Hypowrap with these straps trapped underneath it. So pull these out. first layer that we're going to put down is going to be the outside layer. We're building this as if we had an ambulatory patient. So this is someone who's got hypothermia or a twisted ankle or something like that. We're going to be able to get them up and they're going to be able to sit down into the basket. So we're going to lay down this tarp first. And what we're looking for is a diamond pattern with one point up towards the head and one point towards the feet. And now the placing of this diamond in relation to the patient is going to be important. What we want to do is we want to have enough at the feet where when we fold this over, it's going to be able to go over the feet and we're going to get a good seal. But we want this as short as we can get it while still achieving that goal so that we can have the headpiece as long as possible, because we're going to roll this headpiece down and we can use this for making a hood. So we want as much material here as possible. So in this case, I think I can probably put it about there. So there's the head of my basket. I think the patient's head is going to be about here. Next comes our air pack layer. So this is going to give them something cushioned to sit on, and this particular orange one is nice because it gives us another layer of insulation. So bear with me as I blow this up. Now in a real situation, you might even blow this up first and get your patient on this as you're building your packaging, but we're just demoing. Alright, so now they've got some extra cushion, extra insulation. The next layer is our sleeping bag. We're going to have it open so it's easy for us to get the patient's feet into the bag. Take their shoes off. If they have any wet clothing, make sure the wet clothing goes off. You want them to go into this dry, if possible. We're going to get this pack ready so we don't forget about it. Again, you would rip it open and pull it out. Once it's exposed to air, it's going to start heating up. I'm going to just set this aside here now. We have it ready. So I'll put it there. And then we're going to get your patient into here. All right, so our patient's in here. We do have a layer to put in between this and him. This can also work as an extra layer too. Well, but try to rip it out and put the pack on top. So now he's got this right on his chest to keep him warm. I'll zip him up. Now our patient is in the sleeping bag and we're ready to start wrapping with the Hypowrap. Now I like to call this the swaddling method, and that's probably because it's very similar to how you would swaddle a baby. And that you're going to start on one side, so we're going to take this corner and roll it over here. Be conscientious of your patient, you don't want to do that. Ideally, you'd be talking to them throughout it, of course, just to kind of what you're doing. So you take one side, and then that side is going to get tucked in here, ideally under the patient. That way the patient's body is helping create this first layer, holding it in. Next comes the feet. So the feet part, it's folded up here, kind of like the end of a burrito, right? I'm going to take the other corner, trap that feet part in, Watch our patient's head there. Looks like I had him a little off center. Ideally this would be able to wrap around over. We'll trap it down here underneath it. Yeah, this needed to be over a smidge more, but we will tighten it down with this to give us a little bit extra hold there. Okay, and then last is this piece here. So this is what we're going to make the hood out of. If you want, you can use a SAM splint, put that in here. It's going to give it more rigidity and make it more stable. If you don't have a SAM splint and you're in the woods, you can use just a green stick, you know, something that's a little bit bendable. You can put that in here, and stick it in here, and you roll it. And we're using this to create a hood. The goal is to have it so that our patient is protected from the weather, but still visible to us. And then these sides stick in here. You can unroll it a little bit more if you need to. It'll be good coverage for our patient, depending on the weather that you're in. And again, having a stick in here or a SAM splint gives you a little bit more stability on here, but this will work in a pinch. And then we'll just stick our patient in, secured to the basket just like normal. Okay, so our patient is hypo-wrapped. They can get rained on, they're not going to get wet. They've got a sleeping bag, they've got a heating pack in there. They are secured in the basket, so we are good to go and start transporting this patient.